Good to see your faces, smiling faces this morning. We have a couple updates for you today. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Sawyer here in a second. We have a couple updates for you, and then we are going to have a guest this morning. Dr. Elias Lopez is going to join us and talk with us about enrollment management changes in our upcoming Seawolf Decision Day, and then we're going to hopefully have some time to talk a little bit more about our updates regarding repopulating campus. So I am going to turn it back over to Dr. Sawyer for some opening remarks.
Well, first of all, so good to see everybody. And I see that right now we're around 65 folks. I'm sure we'll continue to grow. You know, I have to say that it's interesting. I never thought that I would spend an entire year in my home conducting business for the university. And I know that none of you thought that you would be in your homes working for students and the university for over a year. What's really, though, I have seen, though, just kind of doing reflections, is really kind of checking on myself, checking on my own personal health, checking on my own mental state, checking on the ability to be able to interact in the most effective way possible with other human beings. And I think those are things that, as part of our culture of care, just like they do in the airline industry, they tell you to put the mask on yourself first. And it makes a lot of sense, because you can't help others unless you help yourself first. And I think those are key elements, because if you're not in the right frame of mind, the information you may be putting to other individuals could be poisonous, could be less impactful or effective, at least on a positive level, if you're not in the right frame of mind. And so I say to all of ourselves, we really got to take time for us. The other day I was asked to do another spoken word for a small conference. And I have to say that every time I do a spoken word, it releases all those toxins. For some reason, that beat the rhythm of a spoken word. Being able, in this last one that I did, had African drums in the background, and it gave a certain pentameter. Maybe it wasn't the iambic pentameter, but it certainly gave me that certain beat that I could feel. It was very syncopated, and for some reason, it was able to release some of those toxins as I normally get when I'm working out, or I get when I'm running. Those are the things that I think that I needed to do for me, because we all get to that point where we work too many hours a day. I know that you see that. There's no doubt. I start in the morning, most mornings at a 7:30 in terms of writing and reading. And then I go all the way up last night. I went all the way to 10:30 last night, because I'm not driving home. I'm not shutting down, turning off the lights in my office and saying goodbye to people. While I'm at work, I'm not walking down the hallway to do a bio break. I'm not going across the campus to meetings with other individuals. And so life has changed, and the number of people we communicate with has changed. Some of you may not talk to anybody else during the day in terms of the office. And so part of it is to recharge ourselves. You know, you don't want to put two dead batteries next to each other. So if somebody else has got a dead battery, don't be with that person. Find somebody else right now who's got a charged battery that you can be with and talk to, because you need to recharge yours so you can help charge batteries around you. Our students are looking forward to graduating. Some of them are afraid, because they know that as they go out into the world, guess what? They don't know what the world looks like yet. As we come back to the institution, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. When we come back to the institution, it's not the same institution. But as I talk in my communication classes, and I'm telling my students, you can never step in the same pond twice, because once you step in it, you've already changed the pond. You've changed the way you think about that pond. So you now know how cold it is. When you put your foot in the pond the first time, whatever was on your shoe, whatever was on your boot, whatever is on your feet is now in the water. So it is no longer the same pond. So when you come back to the campus, it will not be the same pond. It will be different, but that's not a bad thing. And so as we go back to campus, there's a new style and way of thinking and doing and teaching and learning. And as we go back, we have new tools now, things just like this that I think we would have never really used or thought about on a full-time basis. And now this is what we've been doing in terms of Zooming and FaceTiming and all the other things that we can do. It has allowed us to be able to communicate a different way. At least now it gives us other options in terms of how to interact with others. So as our students are looking to move on, let's encourage them. Let's let them know that there are things out there, that they are going to be okay, and that you're going to be okay. Letting our students also know too that they can always come back to us and talk to us, because we will always be that one space that they can always tag and be safe. We also want our students to know that they've created family here. They didn't just go to school here. They became part of the fabric of who we are. They're part of this one nomination. And although we may look different, we sound different, we like different foods, we act different, but we're all from the same tribe. We all belong to this nation of Sonoma. And so those students should always feel that they can reach back and contact us. For those students that are looking to come back next year, let's let them know that it's going to be rosy, it's going to be bright, that we are moving to that orange, that in that orange space, that we know that we're going to be different, and we know that we're going to be able to do more. We're going to be able to have more activities on campus. Yes, we still may be masked up, but there are going to be things that we can do that can make that exciting. We know that there are things out there that are going to be the same, because we as individuals hopefully will be able to come back and see one another. I don't know that we'll be able to hug one another, but we can always do a foot bump, an elbow bump, but we'll be able to at least show that contact, that we care about one another. Sometimes it's hard to tell someone's smiling when they have that mask on. And so maybe there's ways that we let people know that we're smiling. Maybe this isn't it, but maybe there's something that we can do that can show people that affinity. You know, one of the things I've enjoyed since the movie Black Panther has come out is I see individuals that will come up and they'll do this and they'll cross their arms as a form of affinity, one nation. And that automatically communicates that love. And so I'm sure that there'll be things that we come up with, but I wanted to speak to that today because I know that we're going towards a stretch, and I know that Courtney Avampado and I both are runners in college, and I'm sure that I know Michael Balasak also, and there may be a couple of others that were track folks or cross country folks. The hardest part's not the beginning of the race. The hardest part's that last 100 meters or 200 meters. It is hard because it's not the monkey that gets on your back, it's the entire zoo. And right now, that's where we are. We're at that stretch. And we know we've got to get there. But most importantly, we need to get there for our students, and we need to get there for each other. But you can't get there if you haven't taken care of yourself first. So please think about those things with your partners, with your other family members, with your little fur family and fur children. What is it you need to do to pick up and to have the touch, that hold, that feel to get you across the finish line? There have been so many different activities that are going on, but I want to make sure too that you all are taking that time. Rita and I just posted last week, but this is the first time in the year's time that we actually sat inside of a restaurant. And you know, that was really weird because you almost felt like, oh gosh, hope nobody's got cooties, you know. And you can't help that, even though we've had the first vaccine, and I get my second one on Saturday. But as I look at this and I think, wow, how long will it take us then to resurrect the concept of trust and belief in each other? And so I just ask that as we all start looking at making this a better world, it's got to start with us. So take care of yourselves, make sure you take care of your families and all those around you, and be kind. Since we don't get a chance to see each other, one of the things that I always hope is that people don't ever revert to talking about one another. and that we talk to each other and have those conversations close up and personal. Because when you don't get a chance to see each other, you can only speculate what's being done behind, a closed computer. And so that I ask you all to take time for yourselves too on that. I'm going to turn it back over. There will be other items that I will talk about later on, but I just wanted to make sure that when I get a chance to see you, it's just so important that if nothing else, I share my heart. The idea of culture of care, it's got to start from the top. And I know that we have that with our president. I know that we have that with our leadership team. And I just know that you feel the same way. And if you get to that point that you're feeling in your heart that those things are not out there, and that you're not being supported, call somebody, right? Yes, Courtney, I love that one too. I think it's important that we look to each other for help, guidance, security, and we need the hope. So thank you all for listening to me this morning. I suppose some of it is just that rhetorical rambling, but most of it, I have to say, is just clear and pure from the heart that I want you all to be able to succeed. I want you all to be healthy. And I want us, when we come back on June the 7th, as we start coming back in a staggered kind of start, but we come back with our hearts full. So thank you. And I'm going to turn the program back over to LMP.
Like a hot potato. Sue, can we get the PowerPoint up, and I will start going through some of our announcements for folks. We can go to the next slide. So we have some new faces in pre-collegiate programs. Juliana Cavillo Solis, welcome to Sonoma State. Next one. Shelby Lord is another new face in pre-collegiate programs. Welcome to Sonoma State, Shelby. And David Vinas, Outreach Advisor for Academic Talent Search. Welcome to Sonoma State. Dr. Audra Grady-Verrier provided a presentation at the, I wonder how you say that acronym, WESTOP annual conference in March. Congratulations for that presentation. And Yadira Sanchez also presented at that conference on practicing effective techniques during unprecedented times. Congratulations. Let's see, we have some more conference presentations now coming from Student Success and Advising. Erica Black presented at the NACADA conference on exploring transitional phases of the transfer students advising experience on March 23rd. Awesome. And we have a staffing change. So Nicole Stein, who is not new to Sonoma State, she was our former Seawolf Scholars Coordinator, is now a professional academic advisor in the Advising Center. Congratulations. We have a number of service milestones for folks. Shelby, Derek, Yadira, Susan, Dr. Sawyer celebrated 3 years, Lucero and Ryan, 12 years for Ryan, that's amazing. And then one of our more widely celebrated milestones, 15 years at SSU for Don Campbell. Congratulations, Don, and we're lucky to have had you for this long. That's great. Natalie Mack earned her permanent status. She celebrates her 1-year anniversary in her current position on April 20th. So she's been doing this kind of work, this kind of remote work for the entire time she's been here. Can't wait to get you back on campus and see you in person. And then some definite special recognition goes to Colleen Mahoney, our orientation programs coordinator. She was named as one of this year's 40 under 40 by the North Bay Business Journal. So we're very proud of you for that, Colleen. That's amazing. We have some upcoming fireside check-ins. April 20th is our next one from 4 to 5, Tuesday as always, and then May 25th from 4 to 5. So mark your calendars if you haven't already. And just a quick update for you all. We talked about the National College Health Assessment Survey last division meeting. The survey did close on March 19th. We had about 600 students respond, 606 to be exact. And we will be receiving the reports from the ACHA by the end of April. So we look forward to sharing with you all some of our findings. Dr. Sawyer talked about our WASC special visit last meeting and just wanted to close the loop now that we've gotten our final report from the special visit team. Overall, they said we're doing great, keep doing what you're doing. But most notably for the Division of Student Affairs, we were recognized for our strategic planning work and integration along with the rest of the university. They were just really proud of all the work that we've done over the years in building a vibrant and healthy Division of Student Affairs. So looking forward to continuing tracking all of that work and being able to report on it when they come back in 2025. I want to talk about this just briefly because Dr. Lopez is going to be sharing about Seawolf Decision Day when he joins us, but wanted to make sure that you are all in the know that this Saturday, April 10th, we have all of our students who have been admitted to Sonoma State, both direct entry and transfer students, are coming to our virtual campus to learn about what it means to be a Seawolf and the Seawolf experience, and hopefully make a decision to become a Sonoma State student for next year. We have a number of folks in the Division of Student Affairs who are going to be providing presentations on the academic experience and personal success at Sonoma State, involvement and leadership opportunities. Our own Jamie Zamian will be talking with our undeclared students about what that journey looks like when you come to Sonoma State undeclared. We'll of course hear some remarks from President Sakaki about what students can anticipate. And we're really excited to have the opportunity to really showcase what we do, and also communicate what we're going to be doing for this next year, and to be able to answer questions. So wanted to make sure folks are aware that that's happening. If you happen to talk with a prospective or a newly admitted student this week, remind them that Decision Day is Saturday. If they want to learn more information, they can go to the Sonoma enrollment webpage for the schedule of the day, and encourage them to attend or reach out if they have questions and they can attend, and tell them they should come here because it's a wonderful place to be, and we're really excited to have students back this next year. So just wanted to make sure everyone was well aware that that is happening, and that we'll have lots of folks there speaking to the student affairs and student experience. Related to coming back to campus and having our students come back, I wanted to provide an update on the Seawolf all-inclusive experience that our REACH folks have put together. The all-inclusive experience is really intended to provide students with an opportunity to really clearly understand the value of living on campus, and to also provide some added incentives to encourage them to apply by May 1st and plan to live on campus for this next year. The Seawolf all-inclusive experience includes, aside from living on campus, so when you sign that housing license agreement, the students will get $250 credit for learning materials to the Sonoma State bookstore. They'll have free parking for the fall semester. They will be guaranteed housing for 2 years if you're first year or if you're a new student, so new first year, new transfer student, you have a 2-year housing guarantee. For everybody, the price lock guarantee is an option for them. So essentially what the prices are this year will be the price for a student living on campus. If they start this year, they'll be able to have that same price structure for the next 4 years. And so that's wonderful for students who are trying to make good financial plans to know that they can take advantage of that price lock guarantee. Students who live on campus will have free access to free drip coffee at the different dining locations across campus. There are always free events, but there will also be additional events that may typically have cost money that we will be opening up to students living on campus to attend. Students always get additional support services in the residential community. We'll be trying to have a couple specific opportunities for students to have unique access to particular support services. And then winter holiday break housing is going to be available at no cost for them this year, which is fantastic. Currently, we have space for about 2,000 students, 1,950 as we monitor COVID. We will potentially be able to house more than that. And as of right now, we have about 1,000 students who have been said that they want to live on campus for next year. So exciting stuff coming from Reach. All right, do we have Dr. Lopez with us? Yes or no? I can't see you. Someone might have to come off mute.
I don't think he is in yet.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm not seeing. Yep, is he here?
No, doesn't seem like
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So we have Dr. Lopez coming. I think we gave him a time certain of 10:30, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll give him about 5 minutes to get here. Doc, were you going to say something?
Yeah. I was going to say one of the things that that you all, and thank you all that have turned in your nominations for the Celebration of Excellence. I also want to make sure too that if there was someone that decided that they wanted to send something in and they had not done so, that I know that this is new to the committee, so I apologize, but that we will accept then any nominations up to Friday at noon. That way, I just want to make sure that I know some folks had said, oh, I forgot. So if you have forgotten, I understand that we've had so many things that have been going on, but if you'd like to put your nomination in, remember that we sent a packet to everyone so that you would know what you could sign people up for and nominate. Remember, the Spirit Award is that award for anyone who's not in the Division of Student Affairs that you feel has exhibited those student affairs qualities and really has that culture of care that we see geared towards students and other members of the campus. We also have the Seawolf Commitment Awards. My apologies. A nice telemarketers. We also have our Seawolf Commitment Awards or Inspired Awards. So want to make sure that although we have had several people nominated, just wanted to make sure that if you have somebody in mind that you make sure that you put that one forward. Also, too, we have our Pillar Award, and the Pillar Award certainly is that individual who is seen as being the outstanding employee in the Division of Student Affairs. So looking forward to any additional nominations that come in, and we will be putting that information together as soon as we receive everyone. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, while we wait for Dr. Lopez, I'll add one more piece for folks who are excited and energized about recruiting students and welcoming us back. As a part of the housing incentive kind of campaign to make sure that students are aware of it. Many folks across the university have volunteered to make phone calls, and you all will have the opportunity to volunteer to do that as well. So I'll get that information out to all of you sometime this week, and make sure you talk with your supervisor about the time commitment, because I know this is a very busy time for a lot of us, especially our advising groups, and some of you may do your own outreach. So just want to make sure that folks are aware that if they're like, that sounds awesome, I would love to call students, we have something just for you. And so, like I said, stay tuned. I'll make sure you all get access to the sign up sheet, but also make sure you talk with your supervisor about that, if you think it's going to make getting your work done a little difficult. So.
And we do need as much help as possible. We're going to have a lot of people that will be making calls, I understand, but it's not like student affairs folks making phone calls. And we really would appreciate your help just getting on the phone and just kind of using you and your personality and letting them know what it's like to be here at Sonoma. That's always so exciting. For the housing ones, we just want to make sure that housing folks come back. We really are looking at, I'm really trying to push forward 2,000. I know that the number they're saying is 1,800, and then we're saying 1,950. Let's just say, let's get to 2,000. And I'm excited about that, but we really need to have all folks on board. I know that's not been the way here. We haven't really had to sell the campus. People came to our campus. Now we've got to sell the campus. We've got to let folks know, why are we as good as we are? Why should they come here? Why is it exciting for you to be here? Let people know that. And as Dr. Lopez is coming on, one of the things that I would say is that if you can be in any of those meetings on Saturday, if you can jump in on a call, and if there are parents that are there, hopefully that when there's an opportunity or opening to speak, that you would say something. Hopefully that they'll be able to see on the screen people that would have on Sonoma State gear. Hopefully you will have some gear, one of the shirts that we've given you, that you can have that. For those who don't have a shirt yet, we will have to get back to the office to make sure that we can get you your shirts. But until that time, if you have some Sonoma gear, please wear it. We need the students. If we don't have the students, means that we have to start looking at things quite differently, as you've seen this happen at other institutions. So we need you to help sell why this institution is important and why we would love to have them come back here or come to us. So your help is not only needed, we're hoping that you will be there as a beacon. Let's pretend that we're at a concert and we have our phones, and we'll just simply have our phones and the lights going. But it's got to be an opportunity for us to sell our institution and Sonoma State as a whole. So Dr. Lopez, are you on with us yet?
I am. Good morning, everybody.
Right. Good morning. Good morning.
It's good to see everybody.
It's great to see you too. And I think, Elis, one of the things that I was going to say is, if you want to go ahead and tell us just a little bit, because I don't know that everyone knows you, but if you can let folks know just a little bit as you're doing your presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm Elias Lopez. I'm the Senior Associate Vice President for Strategic Enrollment. About 4 months ago, around there, the provost asked me to switch jobs, and instead of managing the budget for academic affairs, to then coordinate the enrollment management for the campus. So then directly under me, I have admissions, I have outreach, and I have records, the university registrar under me. But the goal is for all of us to kind of build a plan where we're all working as one team with the support of the cabinet. And so what I'm going to do today is just kind of do a short presentation on status of where we're at. And then if that's okay with you, Dr. Sawyer?
Absolutely, please.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let me share my screen. Can everybody see the screen?
That's good.
Okay, sounds good. So let me. First of all, I want to begin with a profound thank you. I mean, Dr. Sawyer, I mean, just working and in terms of trying to turn this around, turning the enrollment around and is not an easy, it takes all of us. And so I just want to thank you for your leadership and your guidance. Your staff have been amazing. Ryan coordinated for the student affairs units to brief us on some of the changes and upcoming. So we're providing the correct information to students, and so every Friday there's a briefing or a training for our staff, and it includes staff from outreach, admissions, and record. It's important for us that we kind of have the correct information and we have that dialogue. But I mean, it's just an immense amount of effort on your part, and we're very, very grateful. And I think that we've been working together, and it feels like with one team. So I'm hoping that I put all the units. I didn't put all the name every single unit because I think but I just want to just thank you for working together and feeling like we're there helping each other. Let me give you a little background, right? So the piece, look at what's happened. It's mostly at the undergraduate level where we've struggled, right? So what I'm showing you right now is the decline in enrollment. And so in the last 2 years, we've declined in enrollment by 1,400 undergraduate students total. And so hardly is a combination of things, right? We are so successful. We want to continue to increase our graduation rate. So I think the more we increase, the more we have to kind of work on the recruiting side. And so, so part of our job is not only to just look at new students, but it's also make sure that we continue the success and that we have a plan. And so part of the enrollment management plan is to work on the continuation of students, the retention of students, make sure they're successful and that we are, among the top and as a national model of success. So the goal, and let me show you where the problems have been, right? This is kind of where we need to be collectively to try to turn it around. You see that the yield for undergraduates, first-time students was 16 and it gradually declined. And last year was a little under 8%. For transfer students, 46 to 34%. And hold on to the transfer numbers because part of our enrollment strategy this year is to do a major initiative with the community college presidents and community colleges to try to make sure, because that's where we're going to get our biggest yield, and you'll see some of the results of these numbers already. But when you look at, there's a lot of things that we've tried to do to increase our enrollment in these last 4 months. We extended our Cal State application to March 21. The enrollment advisors were, back to 4 enrollment advisors now, and then now they each have their territory. They're, reaching out directly to the high school and community college counselors. We are trying to also change our service model because I think partly we want students to feel like, that this is a place for them. So we're setting up one-on-one appointments to help them with their application. And then we sent reminder calls, we streamlined our appeal process now so that it's easy. We're still admitting students. So if you have any students that even though Cal State Apply is closed, we can still direct them to our admissions webpage. And there's a page there that we created a really nice webpage with the Qualtrics form for them to request that they're still interested in Sonoma State, and then we'll open up Cal State Apply for them. And then we bought a list of over 50,000 students, high school students in the local area and in the Bay Area and Sacramento region. And then we've been kind of sending and keeping them to try to invite them to apply to us, and then social media. Now, the yield, right? I think that With the cabinet support, we got one-time funding to do recruiting scholarships to increase the yield. So just let me give you some numbers just so that you can get the magnitude of what that meant. So for first year students, we sent 1,009 first-year students. To 1,001 to 1,009, we sent an announcement that they were getting a scholarship of $1,000 to $2,000 scholarship. We sent a similar letter also as well to community college students, and that was 223. So overall, we sent 1,200 invitations for scholarships for students, so that then we give ourselves the best chance to turn the yield around. Well, I've also started bi-weekly meetings with financial aid because that's a big lever for us. The bi-weekly meetings with strategic communications because we can't do it without them. And in terms of just kind of how we put our best foot forward in terms of our communications, the branding, etc. And then, as many of you know, we're working together and bi-weekly we're meeting to try to go over and our joint efforts. We started bi-weekly meetings with the deans also as well because they're and then we with the support of our president and our vice presidents, we started meeting with community college presidents because of the yield is so much higher. And then we've already met with 10 community college presidents, and there's 2 more being scheduled as we speak. Decision day is huge for us, right? That's key to make sure that we get the deposits we need. And we're looking into a ticketing system so that then we can track students and inquiries. There should be an FAQ, right? If an inquiry comes to admissions or records and saying, I have a question on orientation, the dates of orientation, what the fee is, we shouldn't be forwarding that along. There should be a robust set of FAQs where we can, on our end, be able to answer some of those questions. And then I know that there's a lot of work done on housing incentives, so a big thank you to the amazing team that put that together. Let me give you some of where we are at right now. So we're a little under 12,000 applications. By the time we'll finish, we get to June, we'll have over 12,000 applications. There's still some applications coming, some late applications and some redirects that we're going to get from the chancellor's office. But look at the deposits so far. We're a little slightly over 1,000 deposits at this stage of the game, which is huge, right? So I think that we need to make sure that you see the target that I've set for everybody. When I stepped into this job about 4 months ago, I put a target of 2863. And you see that, on the right-hand side, I have the targets and then the percent needed to target. And that's how I track and I look at this data every single day. But 2863. And then we're already at 1,014. So I think the decision day is going to be huge for us. Let me show you the same data for first-year students. We're at 359 deposits. And this is the one where we have to, I know there's going to be a housing calling initiative to try to make sure we get the housing deposits to increase. And so I think anything that we can do on our end, and I'm also trying to keep track of that so that then on our communication, we can encourage students in every way to make sure that the housing deposits for first-year students meet the desired number. But you see the target there, I set a target of 1727. It could be that, the applications are lower for first-year students, but it could be that maybe we end up at 1,500 or 1,400, and that's kind of my hope. But if we can get to 1727, that would be huge. The other piece, let me show you where we're just doing phenomenally. Look at the admitted for transfer students, 3080. Well, that's the highest in the history of SSU. And then the second highest is 2516. So we're already, 500 over the second highest. And look at the number of deposits, 579. And look at the targets that I set at the bottom, 807. So we're going to surpass that. So my hope would be that we come in at 1100, or around there. But I think that it's huge that, and I think a lot of it, you know, um, it's a lot of the outreach, but I think some of the pieces are also we've worked really hard with the impacted majors to try to make sure that students get admitted into the major. Otherwise, there's a lot of denials that come from the impacted majors. So there's a variety of factors there, but that's one of them. Then on PBACs, we don't get the admissions process for them goes until almost June. So right now, all we can focus is on the applications, but look at the applications. We're already at the second highest in the last 7 years. And we're going to surpass that number, the fall 17 number of 877. So both on PBACs and master students and transfer students, we're going to be a record-breaking year. So I think a lot of our efforts are already kind of paying off. And then I think that if we can continue to focus on the yield, right, because we're not done yet. I think the yield, we need to make sure that these students deposit and enroll and take the courses and all I think one of the pieces on communication discussion, on the yield is, the communication to admitted students is going to be key for us, right? I think that, I've been working with Laura Monge Paulson and with the provost and our team with global talking points, right? Because just give you an example, I've encouraged my nephew to apply to Sonoma State, but my sister-in-law and my didn't want to commit because she didn't want, she didn't want to commit because she didn't want to pay because if courses were going to be online, she didn't want her son to just be in the dorm taking courses online. So I think in order for her to do a housing deposit, it was important to communicate what's going on with courses. So the point of the global talking points is that, how do we get to a common set of talking points, and then we can talk about, housing or the different units that we have. So the coordination is going to be key amongst us, and having a common calendar on communication is going to be key on us. And so I think there's still a lot of work that we need to do commonly there. There's also a need for common data, right? I think that having data that, imagine, so I'm going to be working on putting a data set that goes something like this. It takes all the admitted students. It takes the students who have deposited. It'll have the information on whether we sent them a scholarships, the scholarship data that I talked about. And then in the scholarship data, it has whether we're number 1 or number 2 in their list, right? I think that if they're saying that we're number 3 or that, we're another, right, then I think that we should focus on the number 1s and number 2s to make sure that then we get the highest yield. We've done a lot of work with stabilizing enrollment. I think our local area and community college efforts, developing MOUs with high schools and community colleges is another key way. So I think that there's some of the upcoming work that we're trying to do. So I think let me stop there. Let me stop the share screen. And then, so again, a big thank you to all of you, but hopefully this was helpful and provide you a background. And I think that, we're in this together and appreciate that. And other thoughts of what we can do, just let me know. But the discussions.
Well, Elias, thank you so much. And first of all, really appreciate you being here and sharing with us and giving us an update, because I'm not sure that everyone has had an opportunity to see some of this data that you presented. One of the things that Mo had asked the questions, will the university send out a message soon to folks, letting them know that we'll at least be partially in person for first year classes?
And that's something that we've had a meeting with Julia Gonzalez and Karen. And so right now, I know that the talking points are being sent on, but I think that part of the struggle is that we have sent messages out before, but by the time you read it and get to the bottom, there's a whole bunch of caveats, right? I think we need to get to a point where we're specifically focusing on first-year students. First-year students will have, if they so choose to, because first-year students will at least have the choice of having 3 courses on campus physically in the classroom: English, math, and first-year learning experience, right? So I think that part of what we're going through the background right now is we're trying to get so that we have a message that is particular for a specific set of students, right? And then transfer students. So I'm having Sean Johnson, our registrar right now, doing analysis at the level of 100 level courses, 200 level courses, 300 and 400, because then we can focus on a particular set of population. So I think the answer is yes. I think that it'll probably be not necessarily to the campus, but it'll probably be a direct communication that will send to the first year students. You know, you'll have the opportunity to have at least these 3 courses, and for transfer students. But if any of you need any of that information, we'll be glad to provide it.
Well, I would imagine that
Great.
that alone would help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
save some phone calls. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Mo. Also, Moises has a question from pre-collegiate programs. He says, working in pre-collegiate programs, I've noticed that a lot of my students are getting competitive financial aid packages from other schools.
I can add on to it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Moises.
Yeah, so I have some students who've been accepted into the nursing program, and they've been accepted into other nursing programs at their schools, but just the financial aid that they're getting is just the Cal Grant and Pell Grant, versus where another school they're getting a lot of other aid, and these are our other CSUs. So that kind of makes it, I think the cost of attendance has been the hardest thing for students in making that decision of attending SSU.
Yeah, no, and Moises, you're exactly right. I think there's a lot of work that that we need to do. You know, Jamie and I had a discussion about the need of having scholarships that are not just the 1 year for, you know, but are, you know, multiple years. I mean, I think that if we're going to be competitive, ultimately, it's going to be that we have to raise our endowment, and we have to have scholarships that we can say, you know, if you're a transfer student, you'll have guaranteed scholarship for, you know, 2 or 3 years, or if you're a first time students, you know, guaranteed scholarships for 4 or 5 years. So I think that I've been working with I just had a discussion with Mario Perez so that we can begin to plan on that, but that's going to probably take a little longer. And I think part of it is the organization, or what's the role of the deans in raising funds for their schools and stuff. So I think there's still a lot of work that we need to do on that end, but you're exactly right.
Jamie brings up a really good point. He was saying the step-up scholarships are for high impact practices for persistence and timely graduation. And I think that those are certain things too that we probably need to look at. Scholarships are going to be key in terms of separating us from other institutions. Financial aid packages will depend upon how much the school costs, as you all know, with the FAFSA. But we also know too that as folks are getting those packages, they are now able to make those decisions as soon as possible. And for scholarships, you're absolutely right. You know, a one-time scholarship, I mean, not looking a gift horse in the mouth, but it certainly helps if I know that I've got that for 4 years. It's easy to make that commitment. Any other questions for Dr. Lopez? I'm not seeing any, no hands. Well, I will say, Elias, thank you so much. And we will this weekend, just please know that you will have a number of us out there that will be in various sessions. We were just talking about that before you got on, that we know that we need to sell our institution, and we need to sell our programs and what we're all about. And I never really feel as selling when I believe in the product and when I think it's good. And I think this is a wonderful product for all of our potential students. And so thank you for all the good work that you're doing. We'll make that, we are going to make it go back up again. We'll get the Nike swoosh going in the right direction.
Bye, everybody. It's good seeing you all, and have a wonderful, don't forget to eat lunch.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, we are going to, I think, move into our conversation about repopulating and thinking about coming back to campus. Dr. Sawyer, do you want to kick us off there?
Yes, thank you so much, Laura. One of the things as we start talking about how do we repopulate the campus, and one of the things that Mo actually brought on her question is that with first year students, when are we going to make an announcement that we're trying to get to a certain percentage number of having in-person classes? Because that really is going to make a difference for students who decide that they want to live on campus or not. So we know that's huge. What I will say is this, from our perspective, we are going to be offering 100% of our services and our programs. That means events, etc. But that also means in person. What that also means, though, is that if we have 10 events, we may only be able to do 5 or 4 of those events in person. We still are offering 100% of our services and our programs. We're just not going to be able to do all of them necessarily face to face. But we will be having at least half of them face to face, but we will provide all 100% of programs and services. We also are looking in terms of, as we repopulate the campus in terms of the staff, what does that mean to all of us? So what I've asked our area heads to look at is an A, B, C kind of model. So there will be a team of individuals, and we've already started looking at how we're going to repopulate, but that we would have then the A group would be Monday and Wednesday, the B group would be Tuesday and Thursday, that means on campus. And then the C group is Friday, which means every other week, the A group and then the B group would work on campus on Friday. So the first week may be ABA, and then the next week it will be ABB, so that everyone kind of like a firefighter schedule where we try to make sure that there's off and ons. I know for when the president was asking cabinet members of when we would be coming back to campus, we were looking at how are we going to come back to campus. And a lot of that you all really depends upon the work that you're doing, the space in which you're doing your work. Obviously, we need to look at vaccinations and where you are in your particular environment. And all that will be looked at by obviously risk. Missy's office will be helping us with much of that. But we just need to make sure that as we're looking at this, your area heads will be sitting down and having those conversations with you. But it is the desire that we then move back on campus and be able to offer those services to our students on campus. There will be some of you that simply your role and the work that you do may not call for you to be on campus immediately. But as we start moving towards and seeing that we move to a yellow and hopefully even out of COVID, that we start repopulating the campus with our staff. But we also need to make sure too that our students feel safe and that we have a variety of things that we're doing on campus. Some of the things that I have seen, and I really appreciate the plan that Tracy Eaton has put forward along with housing. I'm excited, in the area of housing, there are signs all over the place, and they really have been the impetus for us to have signs all over the campus. It reminds people to wear their masks. It reminds people in terms of distancing. We still, at this point, have not agreed on what distancing looks like on campus, but we will have information that will be out. There are procedural things and there are medical information. We just want to make sure that as a campus, that before we get information out to everybody, that we're in agreement of what this means in terms of 3 feet, 6 feet, and in what environments are we going to do that. As we do programming, are we trying to do majority of our programming outside? The one thing that is great about the institution where we work is that we indeed have beautiful climate. We have beautiful weather. We also know too that will be coming up on fire season. And when we do so, we need to figure out what are we going to be doing in terms of coming back to campus during that time period too. So we don't have all the answers. If any of you have been able to attend the programs that we've had, which are the forums for the faculty and staff about repopulating the campus. We've had a number of us there from the cabinet and from admin and finance, from HR, that have been able to answer certain questions. So if there's questions that you have today and that we can't answer those, we certainly will take those to HR, but there will be another forum for us to attend so that if there's information that that you need, certainly I would direct you to that. Students are having their forum, the second forum this week. And so if you'd like to kind of hang out and listen to the questions, I have to say the student forum was absolutely excellent. So I want to make sure that as we start talking about, as we come back to campus, there's going to be a lot of conversation in terms of the division, but we really are looking at how we can stagger that. They're looking at a date of June the 7th being a day to come back. And we have between June the 7th and August the 5th or 6th in terms of being able to repopulate the campus and how we do so. So we need to be able to sit down with you individually, what is expected in terms of your roles, what programming and servicing that we are going to be doing during the fall semester. And that will all give us ideas in terms of how we start to repopulate back in the Division of Student Affairs. So those are the thoughts right now. Again, 100% we're looking at making sure that we're providing services to our students. We know that we're going to be setting up an environment, depending upon where your office is or whether or not plexiglass is needed, what kind of, certainly the masking, obviously we'll have that on campus and they will be in various locations so students forget theirs. We will have all those things that we set up so that you can just kind of go through and read, making sure it's a checklist. We'll have signage to make sure that people on campus know that they must mask up and they must be maintain safe distancing. So all those things will be there. Whether or not we're going to be eating, I don't know whether or not we'll be eating indoor and or we'll be eating outdoors. I don't think that we're going to have a lot of our eateries open, but I think that there will be a few. That has not yet been determined. But they do know that people will need to eat. I will say that in our office areas, they are looking at how, and I'll just use the vice president's office. An example is that we'll probably have half of the staff that is working at different times. And the reason being is that should someone then become infected, we want to make sure too that we have that particular unit then would then work from home until we were actually able to go through, do all the contact tracing and all that we would need to be able to do to make sure that everyone is safe. Therefore, that if that was the A unit that did then have an infection, then we would then depend on our B team then, or the B unit then, to be in the office to cover while the A unit then would be out and doing the work remotely. So we're trying our best to try to figure out how this is going to work throughout the fall semester. And hopefully in the spring semester, provided that no new variants come up that has taken hold, that we may go into even lighter restrictions. So thoughts, questions that you may have around this topic?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
You talked about the A group, B group, C group. If that is it kind of a one size fits all? That's what we're going to try to do across all the departments, or if it doesn't necessarily kind of fit what a department is trying to do, is there flexibility with that, or can you speak to that a little bit more?
Yes, there will be flexibility. The idea is to have something, to have some rails that people say, okay, this is a general model of making sure that we are providing services and programs to our students. But it also is important too to know that all the departments don't look alike. They don't all have the same direction and purpose. And so because of that, it would be hard for folks to be able to do that ABC model in a unit that only has 3 people or 2 people, or that because of the offerings that are offered, not everybody can, in this particular case, not necessarily can everyone assist and have transferable skills that can help out. So those are things that we would have to look at in terms of there may be some things that you're suggesting that would work out better than the ABC model, and that's fine. But it will, at least then we'll know what you're attempting to do or wanting to do, and then we'll be able to put that into the continuity committee so that they'll know exactly what we're doing, because they want to know also too how they are to clean behind us, how many hours will be in our facility, and what kinds of things are going to be needed in order to make sure that the folks that come in afterwards, either that evening or the next day, that we've been able to provide them a safe environment for them as they walk in. Does that answer your? Oops.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? We're still proposing a whole lot. We have several different committees. You need to know that we have a continuity committee. We have a repopulation committee. We have an overall committee that presents to the cabinet, and then of course we have our cabinet. And so we're all looking at how we can bring back students safely. And I think the key idea simply is a question that Mo had earlier, and that is where are we with offering classes on campus? That's really going to be the motivation, because if I'm living down in San Diego, I don't know that I'm going to want to come to campus and live on campus if all my classes are going to be virtual. So I think those are things that we have to look at. The other thing is what are we doing in terms of planning for an orange environment, and what kind of things are we going to be able to do so that we can show the excitement, that we can sell it. You know, we want to be able to sell your programs and your services as much as you want to. And so what kind of things can we tell people about? That's the reason why it's so important for you all. Those of you that can attend on Saturday, I hope that you can. I want them to know what's going on in recreation. That's one of the most exciting things that we do. I want them to hear from Mo and talking about the excitement of our programs and the things that are happening. I want them to know the fact that, you know, our student health center is going to be open. We're going to have folks there. We're on the ground. We're doing those things. CAPS is there. CAPS will be having our therapists there to help to support. So all those pieces are there. And I want them to be able to see our excitement that housing is going to be open, we're thriving, and we're going to have our programs. But folks that are coming back, they're going to go, well, that's different in terms of some of the things that we're doing. Well, even offering what we're offering is different. But we want to make sure that we get housing as full as we possibly can. So my hope and desire is that you all can join us to wear your Sonoma gear, and that the parents can see that enthusiasm. If nothing else, they'll see us, and as they look on that screen, because folks, this you can see the line was going down, and we've got to figure out how can we, as a unit, as student affairs, if we show up, can we make a difference? And I think we can. So I just ask that if you can, I really hope that you can be there. And Jamie, I know that you had your hand raised earlier, so I wanted to acknowledge you while we're in this particular chat.
Thanks, Doc. So y'all, this is a world I used to live in at a different institution. And so we heard Doc mention the word sell a lot, and that could mean a lot of things. And so at this time where students have been accepted and we just need them to sign or fill out their ERD and fill out some forms, say they're coming, we got to do our final sell. So at this point of the time, if we're presenting, selling is what sets us apart. So every CSU has advising. So I'm going to use my team as an example, Elvin. If Elvin's going to talk to transfer students only about advising and Tau Sigma and things that every institution has, that's not selling Sonoma State. That's not setting us apart. I want to know what sets us apart. And so Elvin needs to talk about what makes us the 12th ranked school in the nation for transfer student success, because that's what sets us apart. And so when we're looking at this, we shouldn't just be presenting at this time of what our services are, because they're all the same across the institutions.
Mm-hmm.
We have great people, but there's great people at San Francisco State. There's great people at, Michael, I'm not going to say Chico State, so I'll say Humboldt State. And so we got to sell, and selling at this time means what sets us apart. And so another thing with this is, how are we ending our presentations? For the undeclared, my last slide has a QR code to the ERD site. I want to end my presentation to get parents to click on that and fill out their ERD. And so how are we finishing it? Our goal is to up our ERDs. Elias didn't say this, but we have 360 first-time first-use who have ERD'd right now. We've got to get that up higher, and we got to sell it. So how are we going to get the ERDs out there? How are we going to push forward what sets us apart? 2-time most promising places. That sets us apart, Doc. So what I'm asking from all of you who are going to be presenting is really think about what sets Sonoma apart. What is that Sonoma State compared to just the general services that we have compared to all the other institutions?
Thank you, Jamie. Also, too, we are number 1 in the CSU in terms of transfers. And we certainly need to let folks know that. You know, we do some incredible things here. You start looking at even our disability services program, and that our director was recognized as being the top administrator in the entire region. You know, that says that our program itself certainly comes from really good stock, and our staff there is incredible. And we need to let folks know that that's what we do. That's the nature of who we are. We don't brag on ourselves, and I get it. I get the idea of humility. But when you're Berkeley, you don't even have to say anything. You know, people are coming to you, and you have to figure out which applications because you're wading through them. And everybody wants to be there. But that is not Sonoma State. And maybe it's easier because I came from 2 universities that were brand new that no one even knew our names. And we were out selling every day because no one knew who Cal State Channel Islands was, or Florida Gulf Coast. But so you're always talking about your institution and all the wonderful things it can do. But more importantly than anything that I think that we can do, and Jamie's absolutely right. You know, everybody's going to have certain those services. But I think the difference is that we will attend to you all the way through, and that at a mega institution, they may not, but we'll always be with you. I think the signature for Sonoma State really is about each one brings one, and that we really need to make sure that we continue to do that. You have people like Mo that have been here for a long time, and her name has become synonymous with student life and the integrity of that programming. We need to be talking about the folks that have been here. The fact that we've had folks, many of our team have been here over 10 years doing this good work. And so the parents will need to know that we've got good folks doing good work for your student, and that we will be there. And a lot of places, I talked to one of my old students the other day, who is a senior vice president for Columbia Records. And he said, Doc, I'll tell you, there's only 2 people I remember my entire college career. You're one of them. Well, you know that many of you hear those same kind of things. We want you and Sonoma to be what they always remember. And so I hope, and Rachel just said to all of us, I did not realize that we're doing the webinar, but for those individual or kind of sessions. But what I think is going to be important for all of us is that those of us that are doing our presentations, we have somehow to make sure that we end with, you know, consider, we want you to be part of us. We want you to be part of this one nation of one nomination. I know it's not necessarily in the blood to do that, but we need those students, and we need them to be here with us. So any other questions, thoughts, feelings?
I wanted to chime in with you know, maybe more ways of talking about students being able to attend classes in person. I know that the course schedule did just go live on April 1st, and that was, you know, for our academic affairs partners, a heavy lift again to think about, you know, what the current parameters are for COVID and what we could potentially look like in the fall. I think one way of talking about it that was helpful for me, and even I was out this weekend and saw a current student who just transferred last year, who I've gotten to know, and she was asking questions, and I had, you know, this kind of informal opportunity to talk with her about what the fall would look like. I think it's okay to have kind of a different way of talking about this for our incoming students than how we talk about this with our returning students. Because I think for our incoming students, we want them to understand what their college career could look like here. And that's talking about what it looks like now, but it's also talking about kind of the broader identity of Sonoma State and being a Sonoma State student. So that could mean for our, particularly for our direct entry first year students, saying that, most first year classes are going to be offered in person. And we encourage students when their registration time comes in the summer, to, if that's, if they really want to be on campus, to make sure they're working with their advisor to find those classes that allow them to do so. But that's one of our main goals, is to make sure that our first year students have an opportunity to have most of their classes in person. Now, of course, large lecture halls, as of right now, if it's 60 plus students, is going to be online. But there will be other courses that are, 20 to 25 students that first year students will be able to attend. And I think that suggests that what we want is for students to envision a campus, an experience that brings them to campus. And that sets them up to think about how we are recruiting students for the future. We're not planning on being an online institution forever or ever fully. So it makes sense that we would talk to our direct entry first year students like that. For our transfer students, flexibility, like our new transfer students, flexibility still may be a key thing for them. And so letting them know that if they want to be on campus, here are some of the great ways that they can make their 2 to 3 years here, hopefully 2 years, a part of a package deal. You can move on to campus. You could have a fixed cost, you're guaranteed housing. You can be a part of the campus life. And that the intent is to make sure that our coursework is flexible enough for students to persist and graduate in a timely manner. And then I think our message for our returning students is similar too. Flexibility is key here. We understand that there are a lot of things that are influencing students' decisions to come back that have to do with how they've had to get by this year. And some of that might mean that they need to stay where they are. That's different than saying, oh no, you stay where you are, we don't want you back. We want you back. But if you need to stay remote, we are going to do what we can to make sure you have access to the classes you need to graduate, that our support for you is going to persist, and that we're going to make sure our service delivery still allows for that. I thought that was a helpful way of thinking about how our messaging isn't a one size fits all, even for our students, and that who we're talking to and what we're talking about might determine how we talk about what our campus looks like for next year and in the future. So I don't know if I hope
Great,
that's helpful for others.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. Stacy, I saw that you had a question. You had your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to share some great resources that are coming up for folks to be able to share with current students and incoming students. So on this Wednesday, Eric Dixon and some other folks from Student Affairs has worked to create a repopulation forum for our current students where they can come, and there's different representatives for departments across the university. They could come and ask questions about what the fall will look like, and we answer them as best as we can. And then starting this Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., Reach has worked with several departments across campus to create an Ask Me Anything series where we will be highlighting different services each week for the next 6 weeks until May 12th, where students can come, each department that has agreed to be a part of this, and thank you everyone who has agreed and is willing to participate. We'll be given an opportunity to share a little bit of information about what services their office provides and how it will look in the fall. As we know right now, I guess we always have to put that caveat, COVID, anything can change, but how we're going to be providing in-person services and then provide them opportunities to ask. So we have the first one will be this Wednesday with Reach and Culinary Services, kicking it off, talking about our housing program, Seawolf All Inclusive program and culinary service will be shouting from the rafters, we'll be open, come eat at our dining venues. And then the next week is going to be COVID and campus health and safety resources for students. So Missy, the Director of Emergency Services, as well as University Police and the Health Center will be coming and answering questions to kind of put some people at ease with stuff that we're doing and how we're preparing to reopen for the fall. And then after that, we have how to get involved at SSU panel. And then we're going to have a panel with students. Student involvement and associated students will be a part of that first one. We have part 1 for student involvement. Then we're going to have a student panel and with current students as well as alumni talking about their experiences in housing and be able to answer questions for students that they might have, incoming students or current students that they might have. Then we're going to have our student support services do a presentation. So we have DSS who's participating in that, career services, the advising and transfer center, and LARC will all be contributing to that piece. And then we'll end with our third student, how to get involved on campus session with athletics, the rec center, and RHA. So great information for students. They can come. We're going to be able, current or incoming. We messaged out to all incoming students to remind them about it yesterday. It's on our website. It'll all be held via Zoom. So another great resource for you to be sharing as you're talking with folks about these great opportunities for them to be able to really just come and talk with folks and hear not only that we're open, but how we're going to be open and what that's going to look like.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you. That's wonderful. Anyone else? Area heads, I was going to ask you is, as we're looking at repopulation, and I know that as you're talking to your staff, is there anything that you want to share in terms of as we're moving forward in bringing our staff back, as well as programs that we'll be offering and services for our students? The rec center is open now. Absolutely. Yes, Gerald, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, I'll just echo what you said, Doc. You know, for the staff, we know that there's a lot of anxiety around repopulation and what that looks like. But I'll tell you that the executive team is very committed to making sure that we are very flexible and very considerate of your feelings and making sure that we can make this as best of an experience coming back as possible. For the case team, we'll discuss this in depth tomorrow at our team meeting. But do know that we're, you know, this is unprecedented. You keep hearing that. We know this is going to be challenging, but do know that we are all going to collectively work together to make sure that we continue to support you all, as well as be able to support our students as they return back to campus.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. J. Any other area heads that you'd like to add? I think that as we move, you're having those individual conversations, and we'll be bringing more as we have those plans so that we can show what each plan has been given the ability to do. Because even though we put the plans in, we still have to wait for risk to be able to, and continuity to be able to let us know how we're going to be able to enter those spaces in a safe way. We also are looking at, one of the questions earlier was, are we all going to start at the exact same time? And no, we're not. We will be staggered. Not everyone can start at the same time. So once we get that information, we will be able to, as you saw Shelby saying, hey, the rec center is already open. So too is a children's school, so too a student health center, so too is housing. So those pieces are already on ground and already in person. But we will be looking as we start bringing on other areas within the division. Mo, you have a question? You're muted.
Yeah, got that. Thanks. I was just wondering, so it occurs to me, and I know to others too, that the students who were first year this year are, for all intents and purposes, if they come to campus next year and live on campus, or even just live in the area, they're basically first year students again. Are we doing any type of maybe a reorientation or some sort of something for students? Is there anything anyone is planning in terms of any reaching out to those students to say, hey, we see you, we know this might be really weird, you're coming for your second year, all the stuff we're doing is for first year, babbity boop. Just wondering.
No, that's a phenomenal question, and it makes me think of something that's in the sports world where they call it redshirting. And it may be something like redshirting. Maybe we're not going to hold them an extra year, but what we are saying is that you're very much like our first year students. You're a red shirt, and so maybe that's what we can do. Maybe we can have our red shirt sophomores that are the ones that really didn't get a chance to come on campus, and that we offer them things that we would have offered first year students, just offering and say, if you'd like to attend, we can do those specifically just for you. I mean, obviously I haven't thought about this at all, but what a great idea, Mo. I think that may be something that a couple folks, maybe if you pull a group together, maybe that we can come up with some different programs and services that would be for that returning group of sophomores that have never been on campus. Great idea. Anyone else want to comment on Mo's suggestion? Yeah,
And
Laura.
a little bit, I think I know that Mo and I have talked about this a little bit as well. Many of us, as far as the housing outreach aspect, that thinking about our messaging to our students and how we're reaching out to our current first years to say, if you didn't live on campus last year for good reason, we really would welcome you to do so this year. I think the other interesting thing to think about especially for our direct entry students who have 4 years with us typically, is that our third year students also had wildfires, evacuations, and then COVID their spring semester. And so interestingly, we really are, unless you've been here for 4 years, next year, you wouldn't have had anything that looks like what we would consider typical of your experience at all. And so that may be something we want to keep in mind when we think about who are our students who would communicate typical, and are there ways that we can match students with each other, or think about, I know, so I went to a high school where the 9th graders take classes in it. We go to a different building. It's a specific freshman building. And so our sophomore year of high school, you were the newbies, but you had friends and relationships that you'd already established. And that might be a dynamic that we want to think about too, is that they're not the same as our new students, but they are different than what we would typically think of for our second year students, and helping them reorient to the campus, or to just have an orientation altogether, or opportunity for them to connect and have that recognition that they might not be familiar with all of the things that there are to do all around campus, because they've never, many of them have never set foot. So I think it's something we need to think about holistically for our entire population, that we're really in a strange moment. And then you add the layer of rebranding and how we're trying to have a more consistent message. It's not inauthentic, it's accurate, I think, of who we are, but that adds a layer to it too. So what are some of the things that maybe we want to allow to retire with our students' memories in this moment? And if it would have been difficult to do when we were in person, is that something that we can be conscious of? But then, Mo, I think you're always our best cheerleader for traditions. and traditions are so important to the identity of a campus. So how do we keep some of those traditions alive, and how do we communicate that to our students would be important too.
Yeah, I think another good point that was brought up is that we also have staff too, Laura, that have not been on campus. And when you think about that, that's pretty amazing that we've hired people but have not yet really had a chance then to have them do the onboarding process. And so we will begin our onboarding for our new staff that have not been on campus, as well as those individuals who have been on campus but maybe in a different position. We'll do our onboarding in June, so that as we're bringing people back, that we'll be able to walk people around to different buildings and have people more acclimated to the campus. So thanks for bringing that up also. The other thing too is we've had programs and services that actually were created during this time period. And what will they look like when they're back on ground, and how will we have to shift and pivot for those new programs that were created in services. And so there's a lot for us to be thinking about. And that's the reason why we wanted to make sure that as we're having these conversations, that you all are getting with your teams, each other, and your supervisors, so that we can be having these discussions too at the exec level, so we can also get that to cabinet. Any other thoughts or questions that you have around repopulation or continuity planning? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. I can give you all back the gift of time. Is there anything else, Laura, that we had to cover that we haven't covered?
Nope,
Oh,
we're all good.
okay, so you all, the gift of time is looks like 30 minutes. So you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you all soon. Thanks for all the work that you do, and hope to see you soon. Thank you so much, everyone, for everything.